Guys, welcome back to La Casa Grande episode. Another episode where I was excited for, and I'm glad this kind of gave way kind of fast. So I do appreciate the guest that I'm going to present, and everybody that's tuning in. Make sure that you guys like, comment, subscribe, and I'll have all the details at the end for anyone that's interested in contacting the guest that I have today. And without further interruptions, we'll start the episode. I'd like to present Kevin, aka the Premier Chef on Instagram. I think you guys already know who I'm talking about. Kevin, how are you?
I'm doing well today. How about yourself?
Pretty good. Yeah. How does like a normal day look for you? Like for like today,
Today is easy. So today I had a lot of business stuff to do. So I had to do kitchen layouts. I looked at another restaurant today and came here. Normally during the week is my rest periods, and I do all my loose ends, make my food orders, just a little small stuff. But I start cooking for the weekend tomorrow.
Whenever you said like kitchen layout, so do you do like consulting or like a kitchen layout for you?
For me, I'm designing my kitchen layout for one of the spots that I'm opening in the near future.
Okay, so then in the near future, we can expect for you to have a restaurant.
Yes.
Okay. And for those people that don't know how you currently cook everything, and because you're mainly known as the Premier Chef, barbecue, can you kind of explain that, how like what you do?
Well, I cook barbecue and seafood, normal traditional sides, macaroni and cheese, baked beans, green beans, potato salad, yams, and I cook all it on the grill. So my mac and cheese is smoked, my green beans are smoked, so everything is cooked on the grill too.
And who taught you how to like culinary skills?
I went to culinary school, but okay. I used to grill on a grilling team in Florida when I was young.
The grilling team?
Yeah, because when you do competitions, you have a team. So it was 4 of us. We used to grill a lot. I had my own kind of way I wanted to try things. They wasn't with it, so I separated from them, created my own idea, and won a couple championships in doing so. So I had 3 championships, and I won 1 Best in Show. That's when you win every category. And after that, I stopped competing, and that was way back in 2008.
And for example, why'd you stop competing? Like, do they pay you out at the end whenever you win in those tournaments?
You win prizes, but it's more like it's a lot of politics involved in competing. Like, you have to have the perfect presentation, the perfect taste, the perfect bite, the perfect flavor. It's a lot involved in it, and it's just get to be a lot, you know. So
their main focus isn't really around like what does the product taste like?
No, most definitely not.
No. Mm-mm. You have to have the right I bet smoker, or
it has to have the right color, the right smoke ring. It has to have the right size, shape. It has to be perfect.
And you did that for how long?
I competed for about 4 or 5 years.
Alone with your team?
By myself. No, my team, I separated for them. I competed about 4 or 5 years by myself.
Okay. And you did all the prep work, condiments?
Yes.
Okay, and you said you won 1 Best in Show, or how many?
1 Best in Show, and then I won 3 other competitions for my ribs and my chicken.
Okay, and how'd you feel about those accomplishments?
Best in Show is what I was after. After I won Best in Show is every category, so it's beef, pork, chicken, wild game, and I won every one.
Wow. Okay. Is that then what inspired you to start cooking?
No, my grandmama did.
Okay.
I grew up, it's funny. So I grew up cooking with my grandmother because I didn't want to go outside and work with my granddaddy. So it's hot in Florida because I'm from Florida, and I didn't want to go outside. So I would just stay inside and help my grandmother cook while they go work. And so it just became a passion after that. I enjoyed cooking. I always had a sense of what tastes good with other things, what can I incorporate to change it, and I just always did that. And then when I went to culinary school and understood the science behind it, it was very more in depth. Like a lot of people don't know, I don't put salt on my meats. None of my meats have salt in them. And no one would ever guess that because the way it tastes. But if you incorporate certain seasonings, you don't have to use a lot of salt. And it's other things that have sodium in it to give it a mimic salt taste, but I don't use salt at all.
So therefore, the science of it, is there a science behind of what flavor the like meat adopts whenever like you're smoking it, or what is the process that you go through?
Yes, so I use a process that was made famous by Asians, which is high temperature cooking. So if some of my videos, you'll see that the meat is actually in fire. Like you'll see the flames flaring up and you'll see the meat in the fire. Most people that barbecue is like, that's a no-no. You're never supposed to let that happen. But what happens is it creates what's called a Maynard effect, which sears the meat so quickly that it keeps majority of the juices in and the original flavor of the meat. So you get more of the meat flavor versus it burning off a lot. And you lose the juices, which causes you also not to be able to reach a point of tenderness.
But there must be a technique, though. It's not just like letting your meat sit in fire, right? Like,
yes, it's a process. So it's kind of hard to explain. It's more like you know. Like when I sit it in the fire, I automatically know what time I need to take it out, how long it need to be there by the intensity of the flame, how the flame is, how low the flame is. I know exactly what to do by how it's smoking, how much smoke it's putting off. It's more like you know your car. You know, like you driving your car, you know how much you have to put the pedal, you know how hard you have to touch the brakes. That's how I am with my grills. I know my grills to, well, if I look at it and it's putting off a certain amount of smoke, I know, okay, it's time for this meat to flip, or it's time to take it off. It's time to start the next process.
and is that something you learn over time, or is that like a technique, like test and trial?
It's more like it's hard to say because no one, I created the technique. So it's hard to say that. It was more like I tried it one day just to see what would happen. Like I'm gonna do this method and then I'm gonna mix it with a different method. And when I did it, it came out so flavorful. I just kept doing it and I just kept processing it and tweaking it as much as possible and using different seasonings because different seasonings act different ways under fire. Some seasonings burn and it tastes like it's burnt. But other seasonings you can char and it adds a totally different flavor to it. Just like how you make chipotle peppers. How they sear the chipotle peppers and they black on the outside, but it brings the sweetness out of it and it tastes so much better. The same thing with other seasonings, you can do the same thing.
Can you tell me then the seasoning that would like...
No.
No? No?
Yeah, that's a secret.
That's all. Like,
that's
you don't ever share that with anyone.
Because people like it's people want to know what's in it to make it taste this way. How do you create it to look so dark but don't have a burnt flavor? It just tastes so good. It's like
But then walk me through the flavor then of like what. Like, is it a sweet burnt? Like what?
It doesn't taste burnt at all. So
Okay.
it more like. It's just like a chipotle pepper. It brings out a more flavorful taste from it. It's more savory, more flavorful, and high intense heat brings that out. So it just makes it so much better, and it looks very beautiful when it sears. And when you taste it, it may look dark, but when you taste it, it just tastes amazing. It doesn't taste burned. It doesn't taste charred. It doesn't taste any of that. It's just full of flavor.
So if you're not sharing your seasonings, because I'm curious, right? Like, I'm just already curious. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna want to go try it, and like, I'm not gonna figure it out, but I'm just curious to see what taste I'm gonna get out of it. So that does that mean you don't share, like you don't let nobody condiment your meats, like you do it all?
I do it all. I season everything, marinate everything, even down to my sides. I do the same thing because I don't put meat in my vegetables, but I know what seasoning to put in it to make it taste really good, like I put meat in my vegetables. So, yeah, all of that is, and the thing is, I studied in 6 different countries. So my flavor profile come from different countries. It just doesn't come from the seasonings that we have here.
6 different countries. Can you kind of elaborate on like what countries you studied in?
Switzerland, Italy, Paris, Sudan, and India, and Peru.
And does that all come from you competing or because you wanted to go
When
study?
I did study abroad programs.
Okay. And were you chosen? Did you pay for them? Like,
Most of them were sponsored.
oh, really?
I think I had to pay for 2, but most of them were sponsored.
Sponsored how?
Well, in school, you can go out and get sponsorship. So therefore, if you, say for instance, if you cook at school and people know that you're really good, they have boosters just like every other college, you have boosters, you have alumni who really want to support you. So you go out and get sponsorship. So people sponsor you to go learn these different techniques and different styles and stuff.
Oh, okay. Like I didn't know that at all because like I didn't go to college. So for example, that's what I was asking. I was like, wow. I was like, you got sponsored, then you must have been good because
Yeah,
not just anyone.
it's not good to be good sometimes in school because the instructors expect more than they would expect from the average person from you. So say for instance, if I'm rated, like they feel like I'm the best in the class, but you make say a steak and you give it to the professor, he tastes it, he's like, oh, this a A. But if I made your exact same steak and gave it to the professor, he'll look at me like, oh, this a B plus or B minus because you can do better. And that is like a lot of pressure on you when you're in school. So I hated the fact that they looked at me as like, oh, he's the best in the class, because it's like I don't get the same treatment. It's you always get singled out.
So would you try to kind of like not show out as the best, or everybody just knew already?
I had to. Like once I started, when you start, you want people to feel like you the best. But once you actually get that label, you don't want it anymore because it's like I make something that you would get an A for. If I made it the exact same way, I wouldn't get the same grade because they'll tell me you can do better. And I know you can do better. So it was a lot of pressure. Mine had to always be, because once you labeled the best, you always have to maintain that.
But wouldn't you say that during times, like obviously it gets annoying because like, you already like basically subject to perfection. Mm-hmm. But didn't that demand also increase your abilities?
Yes, it did. They pushed me. All my instructors pushed me. Especially my French instructor.
So a French instructor, were you studying abroad in France or? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, he was the worst.
How come?
Because he was like, if I brought him something that was just normal, he would throw it away in my face. He would just trash it. Go do it again.
And how does that work? Like I'm curious to know how like culinary schools works. And so is it like, okay, so obviously you have to learn the science, but then what do you get graded on? Like your cooking skills?
You get graded on taste. You get graded on presentation. You get graded on plating. You get graded on seasoning. You get graded on everything. It's what all the things that you like about food. You get graded on it. Even the cut. The way that you cut, because in culinary school, when you cook steaks, they don't hand you a steak that you buy at the stove. They hand you this big old slab of meat, and you have to fabricate it yourself. So you have to know where on this big slab of meat would be the best cut, best, most flavorful, has the best marble. You have to know it. So you have to fabricate this big slab of meat, find the best cuts, season them, cook them, present them.
Wow, man. So many different levels of things.
Yeah.
So that means like in culinary school, you weren't necessarily doing barbecue.
No, it's no barbecue in culinary school at all.
It's not like nobody's.
No, it's not a course of barbecue in culinary school that I know. Not while I was in it. It probably is now because it's popular. But when I was in school, there was no, like, you have a grilling, but everything is grilled on gas. So it's not really the same thing. It's no open fire grilling techniques in school. Everything is controlled temperature. So you got a gas valve. I can turn it all the way up. I can turn it all the way down. It's not a technique that I have to know how much charcoal and wood to put in here. I have to know how much airflow I need to keep this same temperature. It's you don't have to learn. It's no way for them to, they don't teach that. When I was in school, that was more like you have to trial and error. Like you have to understand airflow. You have to understand like the temperature outside, the ambient temperature around you can affect how your meat cooking on a grill. That's why I don't really open in the winter, because if it's super cold outside, the grills are affected by the outside temperature.
It's the metal affected, or is it like, and then the metal affects the charcoal?
And how hot the grill get, how long it lasts, how slow it burns. If it's too cold, the fire go out because it's not enough ability to hold the heat in. Like it's a lot of different things.
And is it the same thing for the heat factor then if it's too hot?
No, it cooks really fast if it's too hot. If it's too hot, it's gonna make the charcoal get really hot, and you have to understand how to control your airflow then, because airflow is everything.
Airflow is everything.
Airflow is how you control your temperature. The more air, the hotter. The less air, the cooler.
Does it depend what type of charcoal you're using?
Yes, lump coal burns more hotter, but it burns faster. Compressed coal burns slower, but not as hot. And if you use wood, then you have to go through the whole burn off process. So if you start with regular wood, you have to burn it, and then it turns to lump coal, and then you set it, and then you start the process all over again. But wood smokes more than coal, so you will always sometimes you use pieces of wood in your lump coal in order to create the highest smoke flavor profile.
Okay. And for example, I'm just like curious, and does the charcoal give it a different flavor than wood would?
Charcoal is wood.
Charcoal is wood.
Charcoal
okay, I didn't know that.
Charcoal
I did not know that.
is burnt wood.
Wow, that was like I did not know that.
Yeah, charcoal is burnt wood. That's how you get charcoal. So you burn the wood. Like say for instance, if you had a barrel outside, how you would make charcoal is you would start a fire and then put wood around it and then let it burn down. When it burned down and turned black, that's when you have your charcoal.
Okay.
And then you would light that again, but now it wouldn't per se hold fire unless it had fuel. Now it just would remain hot and burn slow and turn to ash until it's all dissolved.
Oh, okay. And for example, that lump that's left after it's burnt holds a lot more heat than whenever it was a real like piece of wood.
Yes.
Okay. See, I did not know that. So for example, I know like there's an art to like setting your charcoal and all that, and you said you didn't learn it in school. So therefore, who taught you then? Like I said, is test and trial? You taught yourself?
I taught myself. Yeah.
Did it take like a whole bunch of years before you opened up, or?
No, it didn't. It was more like it's kind of like growing up in the neighborhood. You kind of like stand around and watch your uncles and your father on the grill, and then you learn, and they start teaching you like, oh, put this on, or this how you do this, and this how much lighter fluid you use. And then as you grow older, you do stuff and you say, okay, well, I'm not going to do that next time. Or you might put too much lighter fluid on it, and now it has a aftertaste. And then you learn that you can start a fire without using a lighter fluid with fire starters. And so you would use fire starters, like you would use hay or like these little, what they call kindling sticks, stuff like that to start your fire, start your charcoal. And then you won't have no burn off of the fumes that come from lighter fluid. So it's more like you learn more and more as you go. You get more in depth into the art form of barbecuing or grilling. And smoking and grilling is two different things.
What are the differences then?
Grilling is a faster method. Smoking is always slow.
Okay, so grilling, essentially, what is it? If they're both basically on the grill.
One is direct heat, one is indirect heat. So a grill is always direct heat, food over fire. Smoking, the fire is offset and food is not over the fire at all.
Okay. And how does, for example, essentially smoking work? Is it the smoke cooking the meat, or is it like how does heat?
You have airflow. So say for instance, if this table was a smoker, you would put your fire on this side, right? Mm-hmm. It would be a porthole there. You would put your meat here. And then you will have another porthole on the opposite side of the meat. So as the heat looks to escape, airflow comes in, pushes heat to the other porthole for the heat to escape. While it's escaping, that's how the heat travels across the meat. And the smoke go the same way. So the smoke is hot, but smoke is smoke. But the heat from the fire that you offset is what cooks the meat. So it's a very slow process, and it has no direct fire.
And for example, then what can you smoke everything?
You can basically smoke anything.
Okay.
You can smoke an apple if you want to.
Do they taste good?
I don't know. Never smoked apple. But I know people smoke pineapples, which are good. Smoked pineapples are good. Any meat you can smoke, any fish you can smoke. But you try to stay away from smoking too much whitefish, because when you smoke whitefish, it dries out and it's very dry. But you can smoke salmon. That's why when you go and you say, I want smoked salmon is mostly like smoke, and it's still very rare, but it has the smoke flavor. And that's why when you smoke certain meats like brisket, you smoke brisket for like 18 hours. So it takes a long time to cook it, but you retain a lot of the moisture. You get a lot of good smoky flavor. You create a smoke ring on the meat. So when you slice it, you'll see a dark ring around the inside of the meat. And then it's just better. So smoked chicken versus grilled chicken. If you go to, say for instance, if you go, let me see the difference. How can I say? Sonny's Barbecue or Woody's Barbecue that's on Tyvola. Yeah. They smoke their meat. So you know when you get it, the skin is kind of hard and tough, but when you bite into it, it has a lot of flavor into it and it's juicy. That's smoked meat. Versus grilled meat, it's fuller, it's more plumper, a lot of the moisture is inside, a lot of the water is retained, so it's just faster cooked. So the longer you smoke something, the less hydration it has.
Okay. And do you try to control that? Like, do you try to like put your product out like as like juicy or like?
Yeah, I want my product to be really juicy.
Okay.
Yeah, really flavorful, full of juice, very tender. That's why everything I sell just falls off the bone, because I force my meat to retain its moisture.
And that's just an art you've developed over, or like you just know kind of like, or do you feel like, do you poke at it, or you just like, you just automatically know?
I know. Well, you touch it, but when I touch it, I know what it is. It's kind of like in school, they teach you how to make a steak in different ways, from rare to well. And they teach you by telling you to touch this part of your hand. And when you press here, it tells you what a steak is. So if you loose and you press right there, that would be a rare steak. But if you ball it up and you press how hard it is, that would be a well done steak. So you will know if the steak done without poking it, because you're not supposed to poke a steak, because if a steak cooks and you poke it, you give it a port for the juices to release. Once you give it a port for the juices to release, all the juice in the steak rushes to that point. That's with any meat. Any meat you poke, all the juices rush to that point to release, because the molecules in the meat is running crazy while it's hot. And as soon as you poke it, it's looking to escape. So as soon as you poke it, it's coming out. That's why when you cook chicken and somebody poke it, you'll just see it, all the juices start running out. Well, that's flavor you're losing. So you have to learn how to tell if meat is done by touching it to retain that flavor. So once it rests and then molecules slow down and you cut into it, it maintains. It don't just spill everywhere.
Wow, so I've been grilling wrong on a lot of levels then, because you know how that, like, that there's that like barbecue fork, right?
Yes.
So that means if you pick at it and then to flip it,
You're releasing all of the juices. And that's why you can't retain the moisture, which moisture creates the tenderness.
wow, okay, that is something, or a tip that I think anyone can use, because it's like, I really didn't know that. I was like, but that makes sense. Like, the science behind it, all of it makes sense now.
That's why when you go to the store, you see the grilling gloves. The grilling gloves is for you to be able to flip your meat without poking it.
Oh, okay. Because then you retain all the juices, and that's why it comes out even more tender when you do open it, because that's the first time.
Yeah. And you have to let your meat rest. That's another thing. You let it rest, which means you let it stay in a warm area, but not over the heat. And as it rests, the molecules slow down and it spreads evenly in the meat. So when you cut it, it's juicy and tender all the way through.
Wow. There is so much science behind that.
Yeah, it's a lot of science behind food. And, once you go, like, I learned all of that in culinary school.
Yeah. Wow. And for example, tell me more a little bit about then how you went about like starting the whole like whenever you started your Instagram, like, as I'm like Premier Chef, did you right off the bat, like, was it hard to start it? Was it like, did it take someone?
No, I did it myself. And so what happened was I started grilling, I started posting pics, and then
Grilling like in the same place you are now, or like in your back, like
on Graham Street, my old location.
Okay.
So I started grilling outside. Okay, so I started grilling outside because of COVID. I used to have a remodeling company before COVID. COVID hit, and so you couldn't go in people's houses no more because of COVID. So I started grilling outside. Once I started grilling outside, people like, oh, they selling barbecue over there. Let's see how it tastes. And people see you out there, see what you sell. People try you, just to see if you any good. Well, people tried me. People started telling people, hey, he got some good barbecue over there. You need to go to the guy on Graham Street. Yeah. And then after a while, it just got more and more and more. And then all of a sudden, one day, a food critic came.
A food critic
from here. His daily special. He does daily special Charlotte, and he does Black Guys Cook on TikTok.
Okay.
He came, he tried my food, and then he came back. He said, hey, I want to, take a video and post your food. So he did it. The very next day, he had over 1 million views on my video. It went viral instantly. And after that, it was over. Everybody came, everybody knew who I was, and that was 2.5 years ago, and still to this day, I still have the same consistent lines every day I open.
Why would you say that is?
I would say people like my food.
Okay.
I mean, good products, people enjoy good products. And if you got good food, they're going to come. Everybody like eat and everybody like good food. So if it's good, they're going to come, and they're going to come consistently. Like, if they know that this spot has what they like, that's where I'm going. Same way, like, kids love McDonald's. They get out of school, the first thing they say, I want McDonald's. Like, what do you want? I want McDonald's. That's the same way. If it's something that they really enjoy, they're going to come back every time you open. I have people that come, that's been coming to me every weekend consistently for years.
And they just bring on more and more people.
Yeah, but they come every weekend. Is certain people that I know I'm gonna see.
That they're just there in line waiting.
Every weekend. And I have one that I don't remember when they missed the weekend. They've been coming for, like, every time I open, they right there.
For the past 2.5 years, then you would say?
Well, one of them for like 2 years. I won't say 2.5 because it was like, I want to say like 3-4 months. Let's see, from February to May. So yeah, so from February to May is when I started building momentum. After May, it just took off, and there's certain people that come religiously.
Wow, man. And are you like those long lines? Like people wait for a long time too, though, right?
No.
No?
I have a process that's fast. Each one of my ticket turnaround is 2 minutes. So once you place your order, you're only gonna wait about 2 minutes to get your place. Like it's fast turnaround. And I have created a system that way, because at first, yeah, it was crazy. Like people we wait in 30 minutes, 45 minutes. So I had to create a system to get them out, because I don't like people just waiting around. The only time you stand in line is to make your order. Once you place that order, 2-3 minutes, your food out. Here you go. Your order up. Your order up. Like it's a constant rotation. And I devised that system because I know people don't feel like waiting forever. Like if I'm waiting in line, I dang sure don't want to wait forever for my food once I place my order. So I make it where people don't wait around for their orders.
Yeah. And for example, like it'd be kind of a funny question, but I'm just curious to know, like,
excuse me.
No, it's totally fine. Like, how much of everything do you sell every weekend, or is it like, does it vary?
I make about, or sometimes like, okay, so I try to double up. Like I try to increase volume. Like right now I'm probably at max volume. So once I reach max volume, it's like, okay, this all I can do. You know what I mean? Like, and it's a lot. Is it
because you only have one, like a certain amount of equipment, or is it
I have 4 big grills and all of them are full.
With a different variety of meats?
Yes. All 4 of my grills are huge, and all 4 of the grills are constantly running. And like, say for instance, brisket, I probably go through, on a day I might go through 100 pounds of brisket alone, and that's in like 3-4 hours.
Wow. But you have a technique already to kind of like do everything, streamline the process.
Yes. So when I open, everything has just got finished cooking.
Okay.
So when my line open at, say for instance, if I open at 5, everything just got finished cooking and probably about 4:30. And so now it's time to set up. So therefore, when we come through, like you come through a line, all of my stuff is in order, and I've in them 30 minutes, I didn't cut my ribs up, I didn't cut my beef ribs up, I didn't cut everything up. So therefore, now when you come in line, you're not waiting for me to you cut the ribs off the slab. You're not waiting for that. So now it's like they put an order in, grab the meat, I grab the meat, my other worker is up there with me. They didn't already put the sides on the plate. So they put the sides on the plate. I grab the meat, turn around, grab the plate, put the meat on, put the sauce on, bread, close here. It's like constant rotation like that. So they'll get the ticket, they'll look at the ticket, they'll put the sides on the plate, sit the plate down. Now I grab the plate, put the meat on, put the bread on. But while I'm doing that, they already on the next ticket doing the exact same thing. So it's a constant rotation.
Does time like seem to not like how fast does time go whenever you're doing that? Because I used to be
like it moves slow.
Really?
Yes. Like, okay, so Sunday I opened at 12. I closed at 2:45. It seemed like I was open for 5 hours, but I was only open for 2.5 hours before the rain came. In that 2.5 hours, I went through 275 plates
of a variety of meats
of all the foods, but I went through 200. I made 275 plates in that time frame.
Wow,
it's crazy. It goes fast, and we doing it fast, but it seems like time is slow. It seemed like I'm on the grill forever. When we working, when we making plates, it just seemed like it's a long time because everything's moving so fast. But when you look at how much time you actually been up there, it's like shoot, we only been open for 30 minutes and we already went through almost 50 plates. So it's like stuff like that, because you do it so fast that you don't really pay attention to the time. That's why. If you making orders and say for instance, somebody gotta wait 15 minutes for their order.
Yeah.
That's 15 minutes. You know what I mean? But if they only have to wait like 2 minutes for their order, you thinking like every 2 minutes an order turning. So whoever making the plates are moving constantly, very fast, constantly.
Yeah.
So it's like it seemed like it's longer because you doing a lot of work in a very short amount of time.
And the heat, like for example, like does heat like affect your mood or anything like that? Like because you're like in there under heat for how many hours?
Shoot, I start cooking around 5 or 6 in the morning. I might close around
5 or 6 in the morning.
Uh-huh.
That means what time do you wake up?
4.
Wow. And do you have to do that every day or like?
Days I'm open, yeah, but not every day. That's why I don't open every day because I can't do that every day. Yeah, and it's just me doing everything, so I couldn't do that every day.
No, it affect your mental, man.
Yeah, and the heat don't really bother me because I'm from Florida, so it's hot anyway. My body is tempered to be in high heats, but it's the smoke. The smoke is what gets to you. Being in that atmosphere constantly, that's why my sinuses are like always messed up because the smoke irritates my sinuses very bad. But when you get used to it, it's still affecting your body, but you're used to it. Like most people wouldn't be able to stand up there in that for a couple minutes because you smoke coming at you all the time.
Yeah.
And the heat is really hot, so it's always on you all the time. A lot of people can't do it. I done got accustomed to it. I've been doing it for so long. Like, I mean, 20 years. So it's like I'm accustomed to it, but it affects you in the long run. I can hardly ever breathe out my nose.
Wow, man. Yeah. But you've gotten it checked. Like, have you looked into it, like to see what it could help? Or?
I have to get all this removed. I have to get. When they go and check all your sinuses out, it's the only thing that it could do.
Okay.
So my nose, sometimes I can breathe, sometimes I can't because it's very sensitive because of the smoke. So if because of where we at, I come here and stuff in the air, my nose close up. If I'm in the house, I have a HEPA filter, everything calms down, I'm good. But if I'm outside, yeah, my nose is very, very sensitive.
And Charlotte's air quality isn't getting any better.
No. So it's like I roll with my windows. I go everywhere with my windows up, my AC on. I'm cycling the air in the car. Like, yeah, it's bad.
Wow, man.
I would say that's the thing that bothers me the most. But other than that, you got to work through cramps, so you drink a lot of water. I probably drank 2 gallons of water when most people drink a half a gallon. I probably drink 2 gallons of water a day.
That's so your like skin gets hydrated?
That's so I stay hydrated because in that high heat, you constantly sweating. So you have to drink a lot of water. You'll feel it. Your body will cramp up if you don't.
Because of the heat?
Because of the heat, your body will start cramping if you don't drink a lot of water.
And for example, like I would imagine that being in that amount of heat, like at the end of the day, like how do you feel? Like how does your body react to all
Exhausted. Shower, sleep. I don't even eat. Shower, sleep. When I work, when I get off, shower, sleep. That's it.
And then again at 4 a.m. So how long do you sleep? Like?
Well, when I get out, normally I close around. Saturday I close around 5:30, so it's like 5:30 clean up, 6 home by 6:15, shower 6:30, sleep before 7.
You sleep before 7 then? Okay. Well, at least you have like a good like schedule then because you get at least your sleeping, which essentially is what has kept you going because I know that the food service is really hard. And especially because you said you're a one-man team.
Yeah. Yeah, when it comes to the cooking, everything else, my other staff is really, really good. They spot on. I can't. Yeah, they're amazing. They've been with me for a while, and they're amazing. You know, it's a whole family, and it's a mom and her 3 daughters, and then it's one more. She's not related, and then I have a guy who's my helper. So he helps me, but he doesn't do any of the cooking. He's just like my helper. Like I say, grab this, put this on the grill, fill this up, make sure that's done. Go get water for this. Go get this. You know, stuff like that. He's just my helper, but and he's really good. He done got accustomed to it, running around like a crazy man because I am always moving and being on 4 grills and all of them running at the same time. It's like I'm on this grill, shut down, go to this grill, shut down, go to that one, come back to this one, go to this one. It's constantly motion.
What keeps you going?
I love it. I mean, I love it.
But like other than like just loving the food,
I love the people reaction. I do. I really enjoy people enjoying my food. Like I enjoy it when people comment, when they say things, when they see me and they tell me, "Man, your food is amazing." Like I it just makes me feel good that I can offer something that people enjoy. It does. It just warms my heart to know that someone likes something that I made. You know.
Yeah, and you don't say that lightly because every weekend it's like sold out, sold out, sold out, sold out.
Yeah.
People that like don't get to catch it. Like I have never been able to catch it. Like it's like we opened at 2 and then it's like 2 hours later already sold out.
Yeah, and then I'm thinking, I would say I cook close to 1,000 pounds of meat every time I open. Close to 1,000 pounds of meat. 6 big pans of macaroni and cheese, 4 pans of green beans, 4 pans of yams, 4 pans of baked beans, and 2 pans of potato salad is normally what I make. And that is a lot of food. We talking about normally that much food will feed 400 people or more.
And you're selling that within like
2.5 hours, 3 hours tops.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. So like prep time, like is it during the week then?
Starts tomorrow. So I start prepping tomorrow because I make everything, like I want everything to be fresh. So I start prepping tomorrow, which is some of my meats are marinated overnight. So I start prepping tomorrow, let sit, and then go on the grill Friday morning.
Okay. And do you ever plan on like expanding or having someone you're gonna teach or like what?
Yes, I'm looking for 2 apprentices now actually. In at this very moment because expansion is coming very quickly for me, as in opening new locations. So I will be opening new locations soon. So I do need to bring on some apprentices so I can show them how the method works and teach them what I do so they can start doing it and I can start doing other stuff.
Would you like? I can kind of see how you carry yourself on like the quality that you want to provide. Would you say that you are also going to scrutinize other people like on the same type of quality? Or are you going to train them? Like,
yeah, I'm going to train them because they have to do my method. They can't come with their own thought process. Now, it's like I'm going to train them on my method, teach them how I do it, and then be with them, let them do it. But I'm going to be right there watching, then hands-on stuff, explain to them what they need to do next time, how they need to make sure this done. A couple runs before I allow them to do it by themselves, and then once I allow them to do it by themselves, I'm still gonna be there a couple of times. I'm not gonna say nothing. I'll just see how they, make sure they got it down pat and let them do it for a couple weeks before I'll allow them to do it on their own. Because I have to make sure that it's the same quality, because quality and consistency is what keeps you going. If I want to expand, but my quality drop, I'm a failed business. And a lot of businesses fail for that reason. They want to expand, but their quality drop because they expand, because they get away from the passion of that they put in the food that everybody likes. So now it's like, okay, I'm doing good. It's time for me to get bigger. But once they get bigger, they're inconsistent with their training on the people who now they have to leave the food in the hands of. And then their business start failing. They start losing money. People stop going because the food is not the same. It's not what they used to. It's not what they want. So now they fail.
Did that change over time though? Because probably at first you were like, well, nobody can do it better like than I can, because you created it the whole time. So like, did the expansion idea come from like the demand?
I always intend to expand, but I'll say this. I've been in leadership roles a long time. And one of my old bosses told me when I was young, I was a supervisor. I was the best at my equipment. As a supervisor, I ran 11 machines. I used to build inside cages for concrete. But I became a supervisor because I was the best at it. Like I was the fastest, the best. I paid attention to things. I caught issues before they happened. Like all of this, right? So they made me supervisor over 11 people. I was the best out of the 11. And one day, the man who ran the plant, he came and he said, Kevin, you the best worker I have. I said, he's like, you an amazing worker. Like you put your heart and soul into it. Like you constantly, you just the best. He said, but you the worst supervisor I've ever seen. And I was like, what?
What? Yeah.
And he said, you have to understand this. And he said, I shouldn't tell you this, but I like you, so I'm going to tell you. He said, from a business standpoint, I would never promote you beyond the point that you are, because you are too valuable in that position for me to allow you to grow. Being so is because you have not taught any of your team members how to be like you. So you're only as good as your worst team member. And until you have a team that can produce like you will be stuck in the position that you're in, because you're beneficial to me there. You're not beneficial to me to leave you, to promote you to another position, because no one can do what you do. They can't take your place, so why would I move you? And that changed my whole scope of about how I train people. If you work for me, I'm going to teach you exactly what I know. I'm going to give you everything I got. I'm going to teach you all of my information, because I want you to be like me or better than me, because that's the only way that I can expand comfortably and successfully.
So value really essentially comes of how and the way that you teach it. Like what essentially is the effect of what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's not you.
It's not me. So you got to think about it. Like, for instance, if you had when you working, and I know you probably, if you ever work for someone, they would only show you so much, and they would retain information because they don't want you to know what they can do. They like, oh, well, I'm not going to show him how to do this. I need to be the only one to know how to do this. And they feel like that's job security, not understanding that's job stagnicity. Like, you're not going to go anywhere because you're the only one that know how to do it. And if you want to be promoted, someone has to be able to take your place. This is corporate America. Like, if you're the best at your job and no one can do it better than you, and you wonder why they promoted that person over you when you bust your ass every day, show out, show up, beat everybody at everything, but you stuck there. But the person that's over there that don't know half the stuff you know got the promotion. You know why? Because you're more valuable there, and they can train that person to be your boss, but they can't train that person to be you. Only you can train that person to be you.
Wow. Yeah, that is exactly how I would see it. And like, then people get frustrated because they're in the same stagnicity, like you said.
They think they like, why they keep skipping over me? Why they won't promote me? I'm best at it. What I do this better than them. How they get the promotion? Because they won't tell you that, but you learn this in when you go to take management courses and stuff, that you don't promote the best guy. The best guy stays there because that's what he most beneficial at.
And that philosophy of like, retaining information, people think that that's the best way, like that they're going to get ahead also in life. Like, for example, like, let's say, oh, like I have a brother like that's not doing as much as I can do. If I keep on retaining that information, and then I would never know his capabilities or his abilities, that maybe he can help us, we would grow together.
Get there. Yeah.
And even across like families, like families, it's like, it's supposed to be like unity.
Yeah.
Like,
it's supposed to. It works on all aspects of life. Like if you hold it and don't share it, you stagnate yourself, not them. You hold yourself back. You don't hold them back. You hold you back. How can you move forward if there's nowhere for you to go? And if you only allow yourself to stay right here because you won't let nobody do what you do, know what you know, experience what you experience. So you become stagnant. And that's why you see people that has the same job for 30 years, never get a promotion, never move forward, especially in industry. Like you have machine operators. People like, how long you been on the machine? Man, I've been on this machine for 25 years. Why? Why haven't you're 25 years on the machine? I'm figuring you should be the GM or something. But in corporate America or the industry, they're not going to ever promote that guy because that guy is the best at that machine. And nobody else. He won't show nobody else how to be the best on the machine. So he will retire on that machine.
He will retire the best on that machine. My God, that's valuable information that people think like should get before it, like it's too late, because like if not, they'll like just keep on doing the damn thing. Like,
yeah, and it's always be open to share, and that's another thing that corporate America look at too. If you're the best and you're willing to teach people how to be like you, you're an asset to the company now. So we're going to promote you because we want you to, again, be the best at the next level and teach them how to be the best. Be the next at the next level and teach them how to be the best. Because if you do that, we're going to have the best on every level of the corporate ladder. So I'm going to continue to move you up the ladder because everyone that works under you end up being a better worker. But if you don't, you're going to stay at that first rung. And then it's like we make you train your boss. And that's the thing. If you don't show anybody else, what eventually happens is we'll make you train your boss. So it's like we'll promote them. And then now you got to train your boss. And now your boss train other people, but you still stay there.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that
happens all the time.
That happens too. And then people get fucked over for it. Like,
yeah. And they feel like, oh my God, they just overskipped me. Now I'm training my boss and my boss teaching them this and blah. But you don't go anywhere because you wasn't willing to share. And if you don't have the mentality of willing to teach and share, why would I want you to grow? I mean, it's not profitable for me. It don't make my company better because it's corporate America. You're not making my company better. You're not beneficial to me, but in one position that you're in. But if you're willing to share, then you're beneficial to everybody.
So, for example, we saw that now you're like where you got the idea of like wanting to expand it and need to share that knowledge. Like, essentially, where would you want to see yourself? Like, would it be like nationally recognized?
Yeah,
would it be global? Because I mean, you've studied abroad too, which
it could be. I mean, like as of right now, I can see it's heading in the direction of being nationally known, but it could be a global thing. I mean, I'm not gonna put any limitations on how far I can go, but right now, it's going to the direction of it's coming from Charlotte, then going to another state, then going to another state, and going to another state, and open them all spots all over America, and then maybe one day be in other countries.
Do you ever hold yourself from dreaming that high?
No, I got an emotion right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, right in this moment, I'm making moves to build myself to be able to expand to the next level, build that to be able to expand to the next level. Opportunities come, I take them because you miss all the shots you don't take. So why not take them?
And since you know like corporate America, like what do you think are like the abilities you're gonna have to need to learn, like to like keep on out improving yourself? Like reading, is it like what is it like?
No, you know why?
Why?
Because you put people in a position that's best suited for that position. I understand that I am one man and I cannot do it by myself. So I put people in positions that's good at that job, that's good at that job, that's good at that job. I'm not selfish. You can do this, okay, boom, that's your job. You can do this, that's your job. You can communicate with these people. You the person that go do the press conferences. You the person who do the write-ups. You the person who look for new locations. You the person who does this. Like it's never a one-man show. You know, like when you think about the greats in life, like if you think about McDonald's, the founder, he was like, he stole McDonald's. We all know he stole it, but at the same time, he wasn't the only one involved in the takeover of McDonald's. He had people that he talked to that gave him ideas, that he incorporated, who he partnered with, who he shared with, who he expanded with, and gave them different roles, and they gave him different ideas, and the different ideas, he just used them in order to do a corporate takeover. He wasn't by himself. He put smart people in the positions that he needed them in. He went and found the best lawyers, the best people, the best thinkers, all of this, and brought them on board with him and listened to what they said. And when they told him something that made sense, he did it. When they didn't want to abide by his rules, he shut them out. And that is how business is. You find the best of the best of what they do, and you let them do that. You know, you cannot. It's like if I know how to cook my ass off. I know how to cook.
Yep.
But at the same time, I'm not someone who know how to really go and read the contracts or know how to do the paperwork or find the best prices for this or understand the breakdown of that. But I still want to do it. My business is going to suffer. But if I know someone who can do it, and I'm like, okay, that's yours. I don't know nothing about that. That's all you. I trust you. That's you. They're going to show you they can, they're going to show you they can't. And it's going to be quick for you to see it. And if they can do it, you win. If they can't, you just find somebody who can. You have to be that way in business. Like you have to. It's no way around it. You won't grow if you think that you can do every part of business. It's no way possible. No one does every part of business. No big company ever does every part of their business. You know, you look at the big people like Bill Gates. Bill Gates know one thing, but then if you look at everybody under him, they specialists in what they do. He don't do their job. He probably don't even tell them how to do their job. And when they come explain their job, he probably look at them like, okay, what you want me to do about it? You know what I mean? Like, okay. You know, so that's how a lot of businesses work. Big corporations, that's how they work. You know, that's why they break them down the way they do. That's why by law, if you have a corporation, you have different titles of your corporation because those are different aspects of the business that has to have a specialist for that certain title. And that's their job. And you know that. Only thing that you do as a president oversee that make sure that they doing their job. You might not know their job, but you can tell by your reports, by your numbers, by your feedback, if they're doing their job correctly. Don't take rocket science to see that. So you put people in positions that can do what you cannot. And that's how you grow.
Wow. See, now, like, I'm the type of person, I'm like, the thing is that this, like, conversation's, like, changing the way that I, like, in real time, like changing it, because I'm the type of person that's like, oh yeah, like I gotta learn this, I gotta learn this, I gotta learn this, I gotta learn this. But actually, it's like really draining. It's like you know so many things and you end up not knowing anything.
Nothing. Exactly, because it's more like your focus, your mind, right? You focus on one thing, you drawing, and then you focus on looking at TV, and then you hit a radio. You ain't drawing no more after you start listening to that radio, because your focus is not here anymore. Your focus is there and there, and now I was doing this. That's how it is when you try to do multiple things in business. If you don't focus on the key point, you will lose the key point, period. So I'm drawing, you watching TV, you listen to the radio, you over there doing your thing. Guess what? The person on TV telling me, hey, this just happened. Oh, okay. Person on the radio, this song just came on, it said this. Okay. And I'm still drawing, but I'm still getting all the information that I need from the other two things that I want to be involved in. So I'm continue to progress and focus on what I need to, while they giving me the information I need for the things that I'm not doing.
Yeah.
That's the process. That's how you grow. You have to delegate. If you don't delegate, you fail.
I need to start delegating.
Yeah.
Because it's hard. It's
if
hard.
you don't delegate, you fail. If you don't delegate, you fail. You lose track. You miss opportunities. You do all of this because you don't delegate. And the thing is about people, it's hard to trust in order to allow somebody to take over something that's your baby. You know, like, this my baby. I grew her. So I don't want you to mess it up. That's our thought process. But in order to grow, you have to trust. You have to find people that specialize in this and allow them to do it. Specialize in that and allow them to do it. You know, and if you don't like the way they do it, it's yours. You can be like, okay, well, you know, I really don't, that's not really what I'm looking for. Try somebody else. Simple. You can't lose like that. But if you try to do it all, you most definitely gonna fail. It's not a question. And in business, a lot of people try different things at one time. If you don't focus on one thing,
Definitely right.
okay, so it's like this. I'm gonna make this real easy.
Yeah.
You have two legs, right? And you run a race. You run in that race. Say, for instance, you run in that race this way, but your other leg, he ain't going that way. He gonna go over here, right? It's no way that you can finish either one of those races. You know why? Because you're not concentrating on the finish line. You're concentrating on two different goals that you cannot attain at the same time. You have to focus on one goal at a time. So you have to put all of your effort in that direction. And once you attain that goal, you can win, and then you can go race again and attain that goal and win. Then you can go race again and attain that goal and win. If you sit there and you try to do too many things at one time, you will never do any of them, because you're not giving your focus, you're not giving your time, you're not giving your thoughts, you're not giving 100%. And if you don't give 100%, you're losing out. You're neglecting you and whatever you're trying to do if you're not giving your all to it. You know, that's why I let my other businesses go, because I give my all to what I'm doing.
What did you give up? Like what
I had like my business, my remodeling business. Mm-hmm. I had that. I used to do mentorship, stuff like that. I don't have time for that. This is what I do now. You know, that's my focus. But once I attain the goal that I'm reaching, I can always do something else, because it becomes self-sustained. You know, once you get a business moving, you really can do other things, because you done put the gears, the people that's going to keep it turning for you while you go do something else and expand that. Now you can focus on that. While this is self-sufficient, you can go focus on this. You can start doing this. It's like, it's logic. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I think we're gonna probably have to cut it a little bit short because one of my cameras died. But let me see if I could put it again. But drop like. You know that? No, it didn't die. No, but like we'll probably have to. Either way, we've been here for an hour. I think 6 minutes. You dropped really good gems right there. I feel like any entrepreneur that is watching that and kind of does want to like the thing is that we learned about your journey, and we learned about kind of how you've gone about things, and it's like you got here and you have this success because of your mindset. So I really do appreciate you sharing some of that. And anybody that is listening, like it's something that I feel like if you really look at it, it's simple. Like you can make simple sense out of it. And Chef Kevin, I really appreciate everything, like you taking your time today to come out today.
No problem.
And guys, if you guys stayed this long, Kevin, is there anything you would want to say before? Let me turn on my camera because I think it overheated, something like that. And anything you want to say before we leave? Anything you want to say before we like cut off?
I appreciate you having me, and if you have something that you want to do, just stay focused, stay goal oriented, write it out, plan it out before you start, and make sure you're able to put all of your time into your dreams before you try to do them. Because if you don't even try. Like, just give it your all. And like I said before, you miss all of the shots you don't take, so go for it.
Chef, I appreciate your time. And guys, if you guys stayed this long, please make sure that you guys follow Kevin. Check him out. He's always there Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So check him out.
Unless it's raining.
Unless it's raining or it's cold, because we already know what it does to the grills. So guys, if you guys stayed this long, we do appreciate your time. And hey, check my friend Kevin out. And like, comment, subscribe on the video. I'll have all of Kevin's details down in the description below. And catch you guys on the next one.